Today we are going to learn how to make a pumpkin cheesecake. If you would like to follow along the recipe, just like I am from my phone, I have the website right here, craftrecipes.com. In the search field to the top right, just type in double layer pumpkin cheesecake. The ingredients you're going to need are 2 eggs, sugar, cream cheese. I always get one regular and one fat-free because it balances it out a little bit for me. Pumpkin, canned pumpkin, any kind. Graham crackers, crunched or crumbled graham crackers, but I've already crumbled them up. We need a half cup of them. And vanilla and cinnamon. It also says nutmeg, but I don't use the nutmeg in mine. Okay. First off, you put your 2 things of cream cheese in your bowl. I put them in the microwave for about 30 seconds and soften it up a little bit so that way it's easier to work with. You take your half cup of sugar, mix it with that, and then your vanilla. Just half a teaspoon of vanilla. A little much. There we go. And pour it in the bowl. I'm going to move this so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so we blend these. I keep it on low. Make sure you get all the sugar and the vanilla. Okay, it can be kind of messy, so I like to try to leave the blender in the bowl so I don't have to mess with trying to clean it. Okay, next. You add eggs one at a time, and you do have to do this one at a time, and you have to do it slowly, that way it doesn't mess up and it blends evenly. So put 1 egg in. And then we add our second egg. Second egg. We're going to try to pull this out slowly and not make a mess. Okay. This is about what your batter should look like after everything is well blended. Okay. Now we are going to remove 1 cup of batter. And we are going to add our pumpkin to the rest. Let me get out my 1 cup of batter. Open up our pumpkin. Okay. just put my 1 cup in a separate bowl since we need to measure out the pumpkin as well. Okay. Now, need a 1/2 cup of pumpkin. You can always add more or less depending on how much pumpkin flavor you would really like in your cheesecake. And then we're going to add the pumpkin you want to the remainder of your batter. Then we want to add our cinnamon. I don't really measure it out. I just sprinkle it on top. Don't like a whole lot of cinnamon in mine. And then again, we blend it on low until everything is blended evenly. Sometimes you need to use your spoon to make sure you get all the extra white batter off of the sides so we can make sure it all gets mixed up evenly. Next, we're going to take our springform pan. I use the 9-inch. Recipe calls for the 9-inch. If you use bigger, you'll just have a thinner pie. Smaller one, you'll have a thicker pie. And it says grease it. I use butter. I melt butter and grease mine with butter. You take your graham cracker crumbs and just evenly sprinkle it along the bottom of the pan. The recipe calls for 1/3 cup of graham cracker crumbs. I use a little over half because I like the crust on mine to be a little bit thicker. It's a little bit easier to work with, and it's a little bit easier to get it out of the pan when you're finished. Okay. Now we want to gently pour on our pumpkin batter. And we want to make sure that we don't disturb any of the graham cracker crumbs, and we try to just cover the whole bottom of it. We don't want to get any to touch the bottom. We want to make sure the graham cracker crumbs stay in place. So I gently just drop it down in there and then press down on it to get it to spread evenly. to remember to be very gentle because the graham cracker crumbs easily raise when you move your spoon across, and you don't want to have any graham cracker crumbs to get mixed into the batter. You want to keep a good solid base of the cheesecake. And you want to make sure that it's even. Also, about this time, you want to preheat your oven to 325 so we can bake it. I've already got mine preheating. This is a good time to start preheating your oven. Okay, after you get the pumpkin batter in as evenly as you possibly can, have a little bit more, put it in there. I'm going to show you what mine looks like. I'm going to give everybody a glance. Obviously it's not perfect, but this is what it should look like when you get your graham cracker crumbs and your pumpkin cheesecake batter at the bottom. Next, I tried to clean my spoon or get another spoon. And then you use your regular cheesecake batter and very gently put it on top of the pumpkin because you really want it to be a distinction between the pumpkin and the regular cheesecake. Or you could swirl it. Just to give you a little idea of what I'm doing, you slowly drop your cheesecake on top and then spread it out as easily as possible. That way you don't disturb any of the bottom layers. You want to make sure not to put it on too thick too, because I think I may have put a little bit on too thick on one side. Because when you have to spread it over to the other side, you risk mixing the two. Like I'm doing a little bit. Once we are finished with putting on the top layer, this is just about what it should look like. Now finally is when we bake it. Once your oven preheats to 325, we want to put it in there for 40 minutes. Once we're finished, we're going to put it in the refrigerator for about 3 to 5 hours so it can cool before you touch it, because if you touch it, you risk it not setting it properly. So I'm going to put this in the oven and we will